Welcome to the webinar, How to Be a Delicious Lover, the honey your bee crave for. I am Lucia Gabriela, your host for today's webinar. I am a relationship and intimacy coach, somatic therapist, and tantra facilitator. I'm also founder of Nuna Holistic Retreat Center, here located in Sarasota, Florida. I am creator of different events that we offer in the area of Florida, but also that we're very grateful that we are expanding to different states. So I'm excited to share the embodiment of sensual bliss, tantric kink, the night of tantra, cuddle bliss, relationship mastery, and ecstatic intimacy for couples. So really excited about this webinar today because it is very important for me to share with you insight and tips and tools that can help you to become that delicious lover that you are. And maybe that there's a part of you that haven't realized that you are, or not giving yourself full permission to be that delicious lover. So let's start with, who is a delicious lover? A delicious lover is someone who feels good to be with. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, sexually, and even financially. It just feels so good to be with that person. It feels good from 80 to 90% of the time. The other 10%, it feels like a contraction toward growth, expansion, evolution. So let's pay attention to this. I like to work with the 80-20 rule. A delicious lover is someone who feels so good to be with 80% of the time. So if we really pay attention, analyze our life right now, and we can measure how much deliciousness are we literally experiencing in our intimacy, in our relationship, we can address it properly. So if you tune in within yourself and give yourself a real number, like, where are you right now in your relationship, in your intimacy? How delicious do you feel every day, every moment with your partner or with yourself? Are you in that 80-20 rule that you feel 80% amazing and delicious? And of course, we're going to have a contrast of like 20%, 10%, 15%. Like, how much deliciousness are you having? Are you having more deliciousness in your life, or are you having more contrast in your life? So really pay attention to those numbers within yourself. There's no right or wrong. This is just an example of giving yourself a measurement to start making decisions and start creating opportunities in your life to live the life that you desire. So if you're experiencing a big percentage of your intimacy in your relationship and more of the contrast, where it's actually, there's triggers, there's fight, there's toxicity, there's things that you're learning, there's things that you don't like. If you're experiencing more of that in your relationship, pay attention to that, and that's going to help you to really tune in with yourself and start reclaiming and asking for what you want in your life, like what it is that you really desire in your life. So a delicious lover feels good to be with. So what is holding us back from being a delicious lover? What is holding us back from being with a delicious lover? And what is holding us back from attracting a delicious lover into our life if we don't have one already? So what is holding us back? And I feel that in my realm of work, one of the things that I see the most that is holding us back are our thoughts. That's number one for me. That I see a lot working on a one-on-one with private clients, even doing events. Our mindset really holds us back a lot when it comes to intimacy and relationships and sexuality. So what is holding us back? It could be our thoughts, our beliefs. Beliefs, these are the thoughts that you keep thinking all the time. The stories. What are the stories that we're telling ourselves? What stories are we holding, we're holding within ourselves? The emotions, energy, emotion. What emotions are holding us back? Are we sad, angry, upset all the time? What kind of emotions do you have in? You having rage, resentment, frustration, you're feeling abandoned. What emotions, what feelings are you experiencing that is holding you back from actually being the delicious lover that you are? Feeling is somatic awareness. In my experience, in my work, I feel that emotions is the energy emotion. And the feelings, what you actually feel in your body, is that somatic experience, that somatic awareness, that energy is moving, and maybe even that thought are moving, the belief and stories are moving through your body. What also may be holding you back from being a delicious lover or attracting a delicious lover into your life? Energetic cord, attachment. What kind of attachment you have? When we work in the energetic field, we have to realize that we are all connected, but also it's really important to detach ourselves, to destroy and uncreate all the attachments that we have with people in our life. So what kind of like energetic cord you still have? With past relationship, even with your parents, with family, with friends, what may be holding you back energetically? This is my favorite topic, triggers. Triggers are reaction of responses. And we're going to be having another webinar called From Trigger to Bliss. And definitely I recommend you to tune in into that one, because we're going to be addressing how can we really transcend our triggers and from a more conscious integrative way. And I'm really, really excited about that. So triggers could be something that's holding us back. Not many of us know how to actually work with triggers. Sometimes we just react to what happened to our life instead of responding. The difference between reaction and response is reaction comes from a place of our unconscious. And a lot of times the reactions of triggers allow us to really see where the trauma is. If we have any kind of trauma, bad experience, toxicity. And response is when you actually respond to trigger from a very conscious level, like more awakened, you are more, you can see better, you're more in tune with yourself, you have the language and the communication and the skills to really, to be able to respond to, what's actually happening, the triggers in the moment. It could be an emotional trigger, it could be a mental trigger, it could be a somatic trigger, but you become more aware of what's happening. What also holds us back is time. I feel like, many times we live in the past and in the future, and sometimes we live in the present. And one of the things that I see the most that it holds us back from being delicious lovers is that we actually are not living in the now. So really, really important for us to really tune in into the now in the present moment. And one of the things I would say that I see a lot in individuals and working with couples and singles when it comes to like exploring like what it is that is holding you back from experiencing a delicious romantic life or being that delicious honey that you crave for, your partner crave for, is the self-imposed generational baggage. It's like we take on the things that are not ours. We take on the drama, the stories, the belief of our parents, of a culture, generations, and I believe that this power on understanding and learning history and like learning our parents' life and stories. But it's very important to be able to witness the golden nugget of all those stories. It to be able to become conscious of what the lessons are and like what we're learning from this to move forward and to create the life that we desire. But I feel like many times, many of us would really become self-imposed and we take in what is not ours. One of my favorite things about working with individuals is, especially when we're doing somatic work, is when things comes up, when emotion shows up, belief shows up, ideas and thoughts and stories comes up. It's really important to recognize, is this mine or is this belongs to somebody else? And if this belongs to somebody else, we're going to destroy it and create it, the core that we have around that, and we're going to actually send it to the original creator of that, and we're going to send it with love and compassion and bliss and energy of just healing. And realize that it is not mine. If that's not my story, that's not my trigger, that's not my thing to address and take care of, transcend or heal, evolve, I don't want it. It's not mine to have it. I believe that every single individual in this planet is capable to be responsible of taking care of their own emotions and triggers and thought. It's really empowering to create a space for people to step up to their true power. So always we have to ask the question, is this mine or not? Destructive thoughts, beliefs, stories, emotions, feelings, energetic core, time illusions, and self-imposed generational baggage are essential to destroy and create and release from all levels of consciousness. It's really important to destroy and create, release all of this from all levels of consciousness. Again, it's really, really, really important to destroy it and create and release all the destructive thoughts, beliefs, stories, emotions, feelings, energetic core, time illusions, and self-imposed generational baggage, for us to be able to create a clean canvas for love, intimacy, and sex. So in our work, we create a space for alchemy, and alchemy is about destroying and creating what does not serve you, what is not in your best interest, what is not helping you to evolve and grow and be the person that you are. It's not like just that you are meant to be, but that person that you are. And many times we don't give ourselves permission to be that person, to be that delicious lover, to be the honey our partners love and desire and crave, and they cannot wait to come back to experience our deliciousness. So inner work is the key. The key to be a delicious lover is inner work. So what are the two most powerful tools to be aware of that, if not recognized and mastered, can destroy any delicious relationship? So what are the tools that can help us to recognize that if we don't take care of it, it's going to destroy our relationship? We talk about triggers and time. I call them tools because they help us to grow, and when we really understand how powerful triggers are, we're gonna recognize that they are tools in our life, and time too. So triggers, it is vital to learn how to navigate triggers in all areas of our life. We have the upcoming webinar, From Triggers to Bliss. You definitely want to tune into that one. I'm actually going to be sharing a blueprint that I created for my clients on a one-on-one work that help them to understand where the trigger coming from because triggers can come from the past, but also triggers come from different aspects of our subconscious and different parts of ourselves. So that's such a beautiful, powerful workshop that I invite you to tune in, pay attention to when it's coming. Time. Relationship struggle in various areas of the intimacy because all partners involved keep living in the past, future, or are disconnected from the now. So we hear this a lot in sessions, especially when it comes to connecting with your partner, connecting in an intimate way, or even having sex. We experience and we hear that people are not in the present, they're not in the now. They are counting and reliving the past, or they're thinking about the future, and they don't give themselves permission to just be in that now without any concerns about the past or attachment to the past or even attachment to the future or what that relationship could be in the future. To be a delusional lover is to be in the present, in the now, in this moment. Taking a big breath in, tuning into your body, tuning into your feelings, your emotions, your thought, and connecting within yourself and connecting with your partner. And be that honey that your partner crave for. How can I be fully present today with my partner? How can I make my partner feel significant by making him, the sole focus of my attention without distraction for a specific time? These are the questions that I invite you to ask yourself every day, especially when you are with your partner, with your lover. How can I be fully present today with my partner? Let's say you are cooking, or you are making dinner, or you are just working out with your partner, or you're going to the beach, or you're going to walk at the park. Ask yourself the question, set an intention before you do any activity. And ask yourself the question, how can I be fully present today with my lover? What does that look like? Does that mean I have to breathe more, listen more, eyes gaze more, hold hands more? How can I be fully present with my partner? And this question that I love the most is, how can I make my partner feel significant by making him or her the sole focus of my attention without distraction for a specific time? We have so many distractions in life, and if you're a parent and you have a kid, you know what I'm talking about. It is so easy to get distracted when the kids come around, and if you're at work, it's like getting all these email notifications, social media. It is so easy now in society to really get disconnected and distracted, and it's really important to create quality time versus quantity time. Many times we hear couples that they talk about, oh yeah, we spend the whole day together, but when actually we look into like the quality time, they really didn't spend the whole time together. They were in the same space, but they were not in the same time. If that makes sense? It's like you can be in the same space, but you're not in the same time, which means you're not in the now. Your partner can be in the future and you can be in the past. And that's how many relationship dynamics sometimes are experienced. One is in the future and one's in the past. Or both are in the future and none of them are in the present. None of them are in the now. So it's really, really important to ask yourself those questions. So for more significant intimacy time, I love this exercise that I like to play with my clients. Invite them to reserve 10% of all the time that you are together to be devoted to quality time or time for intimacy. So if you come from like a Christian, Catholic, or some kind of like a spiritual, religious background, you may be aware of sometimes where we have like the gratitude money, that the offering, right? Like we talk about the offerings in church, right? And they usually talk about like the 10% of the offering in church or wherever you go for your spiritual practice. And I believe that it's really important to offer ourselves a 10% of time of intimacy, of connection with ourselves and our partners. So the offering of 10% is toward the relationship. It's toward you. It's toward your partner. So if you live together, look at the numbers. If you live together 24/7, we have 168 hours, which 10%, we're looking at 16.8 intimate time. That equals to 2.4 hours a day. So that 16.8 intimate time is a week, and then we look at the 2.4 hours a day. Are you spending 2.4 hours a day of quality intimate time with your partner? And it doesn't have to be in the bed, like, oh, we sleep together. If that counts, 8 hours, No, that doesn't count. We're talking about real connection, real intimacy, real holding space for your partner. So 24/7, if you live together for 24/7, let's do the numbers, 168 hours a week. And then out of that means 10% is that 16.8 hours a week of intimate time, which give us 2.4 hours a day. So many couples get shocked when I share these numbers, because when we really do the math, numbers don't lie. Couples are not experiencing that much quality time in their life. They have so many distractions, and it's really important to create that time that is consistent and also continuous, which means not break it down like 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 10 minutes there, because what happens in relationship, especially in intimacy, we decide to have consistency of the energy. So if we have a good 30-minute, 1 hour of intimate time, of connection, wow, that builds up and that grows, and that also makes you feel so much more in your heart, in your body, even in your sexuality. That makes you feel connected at a deeper level. So 2.4 hours a day, are you committed? Can you do 2.4 hours a day as a delicious lover? This is a goal that we should all aspire. At the beginning, I recommend people start with 30 minutes and then build up to 2.4 hours a day. But if you're in a couple, in a relationship where you really don't see your partner that much, let's say the weekend, you have 3 days, we have 72 hours, which means, again, 2.4 hours a day. So let's be conscious about how much time are we spending with our kid and our partners. So our kids is cues. Kids wants connection too. So you have kids, you have children. Children's excuse for you not to have that intimate time. So one of the things that I realized as a mother is that my daughter wanted connection, and she wanted real connection, really deep connection. So we asked ourselves a question: how can I be fully present with my child today? 3 minutes of eye gazing and 10 minutes of playtime will fulfill the cup of love. Just recently, I spent like 2 hours with my child playing Legos, and that fulfilled so much of her, her desire to feel and to be loved. So this is not just about how to be a delicious lover with our intimate partners, but also how to be a delicious lover for life and for the whole planet. How can we be the honey that all the bees on the planet desire to be with? Right? How can we be the delicious honey? How can we be delicious today? So what are the qualities of a delicious lover? What are the values that these human beings must embody? Right? And now we're going to go juicy in the conversation, because a delicious lover has qualities and it has values that embody. And I love to show this. These are the different values in alphabetical order. We have acceptance, accountability, appreciation. I usually, with my clients, I share a list of 100 values where we pick. And we pick what are values as lovers. I work in different realms, so we work in values for a personal life, our intimate life, our work, school, be a parent, a family member, business owner. So every single area of our life, even health and wellness and nutrition, we have values around all of those. And all the values usually change according to each umbrella, I call them, like each part of the circle of life. So what are the values of that delicious lover, right? So I'm having it here for a minute, and just resonate with some of them and write it down. Like, look at them and write it down, like maybe 3 of those that resonate with you. For some people, to be in compassion is a very, beautiful value for to be a delicious lover. Acceptance, honesty, integrity, love, kindness, openness. How open can you be? Mindfulness. So we have all the values like unity, trust, and strength. And let's remember, every delicious lover is unique because they are built upon their values, intentions, quality, gift, and inner work. So I'm just going to give you again the values for you to look at. And just check which ones resonate with you. And write and pick maybe 5 of them. So, delicious lover is unique because they are built upon their values, intentions, qualities, gift, and inner work. So now, this is the juice of this webinar, the intimacy archetype. Okay, so we already have explored that to be a delicious lover, we must destroy and uncreate what is not serving us. That's the alchemical part, the alchemical process. And then we have to start recognizing some of the tools that can be in the way too, which are the triggers and time, right? Like the recognizing and become more aware of that. So when we become aware of what it is that it may not be working and what is now service to us, we'll be able to clear the canvas for love and intimacy. And become conscious of how it is that we decide to create a life. And how can we be delicious lovers? What it takes. So once we explore our values and our qualities and our desires at a deeper level, we're going to be able to actually start working now with our archetype, the parts of ourselves that are the amazing lovers that we are. So if you come to one of my events, or you come to work with me one-on-one, or you do any kind of activity with me, even having a simple conversation, you're always going to hear me talking about the parts of me. The part of me, the part of my psyche, the part of my soul, the part like I see myself as a multidimensional being. And I love to share a perspective from that point, because we are not just one, like we are not one simple thing. We are not just matter. We are infinite. And we are beautifully complex and simple at the same time. And I love that in the shamanic world, or in the realms of, psychotherapy, or like subconscious work, we talk about intimacy archetype. We talk about archetype mostly. So let's explore what archetypes are. The term archetype has its own origin in ancient Greek. The root word are archane, which means original or old, and typos, which mean pattern, model, or type. The combined meaning is the original pattern, of which all other similar person, objects, or concepts are derived, copied, modeled, or emulated. So, if you have studied some kind of psychology, this is my favorite psychologist, like that have worked with actually archetypes, and a lot of work. If you go and search for archetype, you are going to see Carl Jung. Pretty much you're going to read his name in so many aspects, and so many books, and so many articles when he talks about archetypes. The psychologist Carl Jung used the concept of archetype in his theory of the human psyche. He believed that universal mythic characters, archetype, reside within the collective unconscious of people, the world, all over the world. Archetype represent fundamental human motif of our experience, and we evolve consequently, they evoke deep emotions. So if you are so interested to learn more about archetype, I definitely recommend to look into Carl Jung's work. I love his work. It has been a work that has been addressed to me since I was a child, like 15 years old. I've been working with archetype and shadows since a very young age. One of my first mentors in the Gnostic community made us become aware of different parts of ourselves. We talk about the egos and we talk about the archetype and our shadows. And one of the beautiful practices that I've been doing since I was 15 years old is like self-observation, and which has been so powerful at a very young age, because it helps you to become so aware of your emotions, your thought, your feelings, like your energies. And especially now that you work with energy and we work with energy, it is so powerful to start tasting energy a different way, feeling and smelling energy, vibration. You can actually feel it, because self-observation and embodiment is like a beautiful, powerful tools that you can apply it every day. And through self-observation, we're going to be able to work at a deeper level with our archetype, because it helps you to really become in tune with the different parts of yourself. So let's dive deep into the intimacy archetypes. So under the umbrella of intimacy archetype, we have the love archetypes, which are the lover archetype, which are the more romantic, have the romantic values. They're like loving, they're caring, they're compassionate, they're like romantic. Then we have the sensual archetype. There's archetype that they love sensory experiences. We also have the sexual archetype. It is all about connection, alchemy, creation, or even destruction. And it's not destruction of something bad, but it's destruction of like the things that are not serving you, destruction of belief system, destruction of core and energetic core. We call sex magic in so many of the sexual archetype, the sex magical beings. So we also have the erotic archetype and under the intimacy archetype, which is very fun. They're pretty much around the kink BDSM fetish archetype, where they love to explore the free of shame and judgment. So under the intimacy archetype, we have for the lovers, the sensual, the sexual, and the erotic. So let's go deeper into this. But at the same time, it's really important to recognize our shadow and dark intimacy archetypes. The shadow and dark are a hidden part of ourselves. They are our greatest allies in recognizing our greatest strength and weakness. Their gift is the level of awareness of who we are, what we create or destroy in this world, and how we do it. Working with our intimacy shadows allow us to navigate our triggers in our intimate relationship in ways that are constructive, productive, mature, and evolving. And this is going to be a tip for you to be in tune and tune in when we do triggers workshop. The webinar. Even the workshop. We have a couple of workshops coming up around triggers. Like from Trigger to Bliss. When we release the webinar, pay attention to it, because that really is going to be fantastic. We're going to be working with the shadow. To be able to understand our triggers, we must understand our shadows and a dark archetype. I'm just giving you a hint here of what is coming up, because it's really powerful work working with your triggers. And when you start realizing what shadow or what archetype is actually being affected in your intimacy, oh my gosh, breakthroughs happen on the spot. So let's talk about the intimacy archetype, just to give you an idea and for you to tune in more, be inspired to come to any of our events, because all of our events are around archetype and shadow and dark, shadow and dark archetype work. Working with your shadow is really important. So I definitely share with you these archetypes so you feel inspired to come and join us to do the live experiences, and also to possibly do one-on-one work or even online work. I'm I am in the process of releasing an online program where I will be able to take you through that. So I'm working on that, and stay tuned to that. So now, intimacy archetype. So we have the lover archetype. So we have examples of the lover archetype. Could be the primal lover, the playful lover, the sacred lover, the alchemy lover, or the venture lover. If you come to one of the events that is for couples, the art of ecstatic intimacy for couples, we go around and we explore the primal lover, the playful lover, the sacred lover, even the sensual lover. So those are archetypes that we explore live, because it's such a power to create a space for you to tap into that primal energy. What does that look like? What does that feel? And one of the archetypes I love in the lover archetype is the playful lover. I feel like many couples don't give themselves permission to be playful. Playful does not mean to be childish or immature. It means to be fun. It's playful. It's having fun. It's about having fun. How much fun can I have today with my partner? How much fun can I be together? How much fun can I be in bed? Like how much fun can I be in our intimacy, in our sex? How much fun can we bring into it? How much playfulness can we bring into a relationship, right? So it's really, really important to bring into our life the playful lover. We also talk about, and I love the sacred lover. The sacred lover is the lover that holds space for the partner. They can hold space with an open heart and non-judgment. If your partner decides to share their intimate desires and fantasies, the sacred lover comes into play and holds space without judgment, and is like, oh, beautiful, yeah, wow, thank you for sharing that truth, thank you for sharing that fantasy. It could be a weird, extreme fantasy. Especially even like could be sexual fantasy, and what I love about the sacred lover is that it holds space with non-judgment. It holds compassion, understanding. It holds a space that your partner feels so safe to be self and to be able to share the experience. One of the things I like to share is that I could not be in a relationship if my partner could not hold that space of being a sacred lover. If my partner shows a shadow archetype, which is about judgment, about resentment, and about an archetype that is not sacred for me to be able to express myself fully, I would not be able to be with that partner. So we have the sensual archetype. We have the sensual lover, we have the seductress, the sensual mover, the sensual priestess, which is about healing. It's all about sensory experiences, sensuality, and seduction. We also have the sexual archetype, which is the sexual virgin, the slut, the sacred prostitute, the sexual vampire, the sexual healer, etc. Those are fun archetypes to also explore in intimacy archetype. Sometimes they ask me about the sexual virgin, and I'm like, well, is that part of self that is shy about sexuality, but also is excited, like she's sexual, but also she's like innocent. It's not even shy, but she's like innocent, like really innocent. And they have the sense of like innocent in their sexuality. There's no shame, there's no judgment, but they have this innocent, this curiosity of being sexual beings. We also have the slut, which is the part of self that is like, wow, that part of self just want to be with everyone and just want to explore their sexuality with everyone. So it's really a fun archetype to bring into the playfulness of the relationship. And also we have the sexual vampire, like one of my favorite archetype, I would say, in specific dynamics, where is that archetype where it's about taking. Of course it's taking, because this is it's not a shadow. The shadow archetype of the vampire is like more dark, the sexual dark vampire, but these are the more light vampire, which is like that's it with consent, with permission, and with time restrictions, because it loves to take and it doesn't concern from that partner that love to be taken. So this is one of my favorites that I like to initiate couples with, especially when it comes to kink BDSM and energetic aspect of it, is because they're able to really give themselves permission to be that taker and to be that taken, and surrender into the dynamic and how the energy move. Within consent, everything is magnificent, everything is beautiful. So then we have the erotic archetype. We talk a little bit about that. So we have the sensual dominatrix, the sexual slave, the sensual servant, the primal dom. There's a different archetype that we can see, like sensual dominatrix likes to be dominating, and it's all sensual, it's all about sensuality. We also have the sexual slave, want to be a slave. And I love to mention that slave and servant, there's nothing wrong and negative about it. Like, one of the things I love about the erotic archetype, especially related to kink, BDSM, and fetishness, is it's all accepted because it comes from a place of compassion and judgment. And slave and servant is that aspect of servitude, like aspect of surrendering, trust, and being a servant. When you tap yourself into the role of being the servant or the slave of energetically of a partner, it's like one of those most beautiful experiences of just fully surrendering and at the same time being of service. It's not something that I say like, oh, you live your life 24/7 like that. It's a no, because we are so infinite that there's so many parts of us that are needed in different areas of our life. So we're addressing the intimacy archetype because it is beautiful to be initiated in a relationship, or have that in a relationship with your partner, where you can feel for like just for the night, for the dynamic, through the conversation, negotiation, or the communicating between the two of you, like what it is that you would like to experience. My partner would like to be my sensual servant, and I would like to be that sensual dominatrix. So we have that combination. If you want to learn more about that, you gotta come to one of the events. Like, my favorite event is Tantric Kink, where we actually explore this dynamic. But also, if you're more curious about it and you would like to explore your archetypes on a deeper level with your partner in your relationship, it's so important to do this work. We can always do one-on-one work, and I would love to help you to explore who are you in your sensuality and your intimacy at a deeper level, and what part of you really decide to come to the surface, and what part of you decide to play, what sides of you, what parts of you are the ones that are dormant, but they really decide to come to play with your partner and actually be that delicious lover. So definitely tune in into all events that I have coming up. I have private events coming up where we're going to explore deeply more of the lover's archetype, the sensual archetype, the sexual archetype, and erotic archetypes, and more conversations about that I will have. So stay tuned and really come and experience your life, because there's nothing more delicious than experiencing these archetypes on a live event. So we have to ask the question, what part of you is hidden and desires to come out? Who's driving the bus in your relationship? So who is driving the bus in your relationship? Think about it. All these archetypes that we have, these are some of my archetypes. Once you start working with your shadow, especially your values, when you start looking at your values and what is important to you, that's what a value is. It is what it is important to you. When you start looking with your values and working with your values and understanding your values at a deeper level in your romantic and intimate realm, you're going to start discovering parts of yourself that you haven't discovered before. What we call them the archetypes. And then you're going to be able to start recognizing your love archetype, your sensual archetype, your sexual archetype, and your erotic archetypes. And also the shadow and dark archetypes. And those actually are the ones that have a lot of power to help us to understand our triggers, and at the same time transcend some traumas that we may have in the realm of intimacy. So, who is hidden and desires to come out and play? So, archetype that they cannot be in your intimacy. This is one of the archetypes I see the most. This realm of archetype. I call it umbrella, parenting archetype. These are the archetypes that cannot be in intimacy. We're talking about a parenting archetype. The mother, the father, the caregiver, and the babysitter. You have no idea of all the couples I work with and individuals I work and help them in their relationship and in intimacy. I can say that 8 out of 10 people, 8 out of 10 couples, actually, they drive in the bus. The one that drive in the bus of the intimacy and relationship is the parent archetype. That could be the mother, the father, the caregiver, or the babysitter. And these are archetypes that are not productive in intimacy. I know in some communities, for example, the BDSM fetish community, they have this role of like a boy and girl, daddy, mommy, but those are like different dynamic of playing with those archetype. They have like a time setting, like a role play. They have the things, no judgment. I personally do not work with those archetypes at all when it comes to intimacy, because there are different needs and values that this archetype has. So many relationships which see the woman acting as the mother of the husband. and sometimes, you can hear that the husband married their mother. Like, it's not the mother, but someone that actually acts like their mother. So, and also the same thing with women. Like, they marry their fathers, and they are in a relationship with a father. They're in a relationship with a lover. So to be a delicious lover, we have to be truly conscious that if we ever play this role of being a parenting, it can be destructive to our relationship, because we are not here to parent our partners. We're not the parent. They have the parent. We're here to be the lovers. We're here to be that delicious honey that they crave for, and be that parent, that caregiver, that babysitter. It doesn't align with the relationship. It just feels muddy and feels heavy, and it's so much responsibility. Remember that the parenting archetype has that huge level of responsibility for the child. The responsibility of taking care of the child, the raising the child, making sure that provide for the child fully, for this child to grow and be fully evolve and develop. So there's so much heaviness and responsibility. What I love is when I see clients that I work with, even with single clients, that sometimes they bring this archetype at work. Like, they are parenting everyone. They're parenting the worker, the parenting the employees, and it's so heavy, and they don't get anything done. It's like so exhausting, and the moment that you put in so much energy in one archetype, it takes away from being in that delicious state of being intimate with yourself and with your partner. Because the more energy you put into one area of your life, you're taking it away from other areas of your life. So really, really important to pay attention to yourself and give yourself permission to let go of the parenting archetype in your intimacy. All right. If you have more questions about that, feel free to reach out to me. Like, we can explore what's going on in your relationship, and we can explore if that's dominant. Maybe right now you have the answer. That archetype, the parenting archetype, the mother, the father, the babysitter, the caregiver, could be the dominant, the one that is actually ruling your relationship, or actually can also be ruling your life, and there are a reason for it. There are subconscious reason why you're choosing to be that father, mother in the relationship, and there are deep reasons that can come back from all the way in your childhood. Something may have happened, something, what story are you telling yourself, what are you believing, like what are you signing up to, what are you dragging in your life, right? So really really important to address this parenting archetype and pay attention to what comes up. So, a delicious lover plays with at least 4 to 8 intimacy archetype each day. How many are you embracing and embodying in your life and intimacy daily? I'm not kidding, between 4 to 8. If you think that 8 is too much, you're missing it out. The experience I'm sharing with you that between 4 to 8 would be ideal, because you can have the playful lover, the romantic, the playful lover, the sacred lover. You can have the sensual lover. You can even have the sexual virgin. Like, here you go, then you have 4, and it could be so much fun. And then you add more to it, and you can the sexual vampire, and then you can have the sensual dominatrix. Woo! You have 6 of them. So now that is so much fun. Like, imagine being in that room with your partner and being of those energies. Like, whoa. Yeah, you become the honey. You are the delicious lover, the honey that your bee crave for. And it doesn't matter where you are, that honey, you are the honey, that bee wants to come to you. Trust me. So a delicious lover prioritizes intimacy and surrenders to the bliss the universe provides. So a delicious lover prioritizes intimacy and surrenders to the bliss the universe provides. I feel that when we give ourselves permission to really be in a bliss, the universe opens up to infinite possibilities. And when we prioritize what's important in our life, which is that connection, that intimacy within ourselves, and then we're sharing that with our partners, and then we're sharing that with our children, and then we're sharing that with our community, when we can be that fully integrative, and prioritize ourselves. Life is so much yummy and delicious. Abundance comes in so many different directions. Money flows into your life. Prosperity flows, health flows, wellness flows into your life. So I invite you to surrender into the bliss of what the universe provides. So I would love to help you today. How can I help you? So I'm going to invite you to go into my site, luciagabriela.com, and apply for a free 60-minute Awaken and Discover call, which valued $250. So we can explore what is blocking you from creating the life and relationship that you desire. This is not a sales call. Actually, when you go through the intake form, you actually going to spend a good 45 minutes, because I really want to know. It's literally the coaching session within the document itself, and that's going to save us time, and at the same time I'm going to learn so much from you. And when we're in the call, we actually exploring, okay, we're really exploring deep, like what may be there that is not serving you at all, and what is the action plan that we can both of us co-create to be able to help you. Yes, I do have my program, I have my event, but how can I make it custom to you to help you create the life and intimacy that you desire? So at the end of the call, if you feel that you would like to continue and work with me, there's so many ways that we can do that. And if for some reason money is an issue, we have events, we have free stuff, we have webinars. So always feel safe to know that we can always work together in some way or another. And ask for what you need. One of the first things that you're going to learn to working with me is that I'm inviting you to ask for what you need and ask for your desires, and allow yourself and surrender yourself to see what the universe provides for you. So again, join me at my event, Embodiment of Sensual Bliss, beautiful experience, how to awaken our sensual archetypes. The Cuddle Bliss, it's literally a powerful workshop about boundaries. We're also going to be having a workshop, webinar about owning my boundaries, because one thing is to have boundaries, another thing is owning your boundaries. So really important. Cuddle Bliss is all about, it's a really interactive workshop about consent and boundaries, and snuggling and cuddles. Tantra Kink, it's a powerful workshop. We go through our kink BDSM archetype, but also about the power of the dominant submissive energy. a night of Tantra, introduction to what is Tantra, what does that feel like, what does that look like, it's a non-sexual event, so Tantra it covers sexuality in like 10%, but the power of Tantra is like, oh my gosh, it's huge. The transformation and the alchemy that we experience by embodying and living the path of Tantra is amazing. And yes, intimacy is great because of that, but in my work, sexuality is not the focus. The focus is really the juice that is within that. So we also have the art of relationship mastery, helping individuals to be the masters in the relationship and intimacy, how to communicate, how to act for what you desire, for what you want. And ecstatic, the art of ecstatic intimacy, the workshop for couples, like men, we go and we dive deeper into exploring those lover archetypes, and there's an activity for gratitude and acceptance, and also we share the aspect of conscious touch, divine touch, and beautiful dynamics. So really, really excited to work with you again. Go to my website, luciagabriela.com, and apply for that 60-minute Awakening Discover call. And I would love to really help and see how we can work together so you truly live the life that you desire from a place of knowledge and from a place of awareness in all levels of your life. So I appreciate you so much for being on this webinar today, and look forward to create more webinars, sharing more powerful tips and information. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. The more questions I have, the more content I can provide by creating more webinars and also create more events. So if you are not in Florida, but you are in other state, if you would love to have me facilitating, creating events for your community, just reach out to me. I'm always looking for organizers across the U.S. and bringing Tantra King, Night of Tantra, Cuddle Bliss, like any of our workshop. My signature workshop, I can bring it to you. I'm actually also working on a Lover's Archetype workshop, so that is going to be fascinating. So yes, reach out to me, and I would love to bring this knowledge, this wisdom, and this insight to your community and work with you. So thank you so much. Appreciate you, and have a fantastic day.